So, I've been into my very epic game development journey for how has it already been 3 years. Anyway, I thought it'd be cool to go through my entire history doing game development as sort of a 3-year anniversary or something, I don't know. So to do that, we'd have to go all the way back to June of 2021. But even before then, I was still messing around with things like Scratch and Rec Room, which is a VR social game where you can make your own custom rooms and whatnot.
Hi, welcome to Start Royale. Before you start the game, I want to say that
Anyway,
you
I can go on for hours about how catastrophically hard that game fell off, but that's a topic for another video. So, I managed to save up for a cheap HP laptop that ran on an Intel Celeron. A week or two later, on a rainy day of all things, I eventually got it in my hands, tore it open, and downloaded Unity for the first time. I've been wanting to get into game development since around 4th or 5th grade, so it's great to finally use a proper game engine rather than whatever you find on Google Play. And you wanna know the very first game I made? A jumping simulator, of course, because I'm just like that. This was just supposed to be some dumb game I made for my friends to play and laugh at, so I didn't worry too much about the quality of it. Next year, I eventually decided to save up for a better laptop than the HP I got previously. I honestly don't know why I expected an Intel Celeron and 4GB of RAM to work well with Unity and Blender, so $800 later, I was back in the game dev scene with my entire life savings down the drain. That summer, I participated in my first actual game jam, appropriately named My First Game Jam. It was very lenient on rules, so this was perfect for me. It lasted like 2 weeks, so this gave me plenty of time to cook something up. I ended up making this. Thirst comes first. You basically just run around a map collecting water bottles until your thirst runs out. And as you can see, I was a pretty huge Danny fan at the time, who's a pretty massive game dev YouTuber, who also hasn't uploaded in 2 years. Anyway, want to know what I did right after participating in a very lenient game jam that lasted several weeks where we weren't even required to follow the theme? I did GMTK, of course. You know, the biggest game jam on itch.io that only lasts 48 hours. Surprisingly, I sacrificed my sleep schedule enough to actually meet the deadline on time. My game, Janitor's Roll. It's a 2D platformer where you have to roll a dice at the end of the level that randomly selects one of 3 levels. I was originally going to go for 10, but due to time constraints, I only decided to go for 3. This game kinda sucked, but I think I did pretty well for my first GMTK. Later in 2022, I participated in my first Brackeys Game Jam, which thankfully wasn't as sleep schedule destroying as GMTK. The theme this time around was You're Not Alone, and I ended up creating this catastrophe. Are you ever just craving bland and uninspired graphics, a story that was written in an hour, in an extremely long platforming section with no checkpoints? Look no further than Alone. Yeah, I'm not too proud of this. Movement sucked, the walking sound effects got annoying, and my modeling skills were out the window. However, while I was working on all of these games in 2022, I was working on another game that would last me an entire year of my life. Metro Meltdown. This is a game that I started working on in June of 2022. This is a VR shooter that was supposed to have several unique levels, a chase sequence, a story, a boss fight, and an entire sandbox mode. You can probably see the problem here. I ended up completing a little bit over half the game before I ended up getting burnt out. I really wasn't happy with the state of the game at the time. The whole game was a buggy mess and it felt really unpolished. And what sucked is that I was planning for this to be a pretty big game. I even went as far as making an entire soundtrack for it. However, in June of 2023, I let the game go due to burnout and lack of motivation. Earlier that year, I participated in another Brackeys Game Jam. This time around, the theme was An End is a New Beginning. 7 days and several Unity crashes later, I made this, Neon Nightfire. I'm actually really proud of this game. It actually plays well and I love how it looks, especially when compared to Alone. Speaking of, see something similar? Yep, that's right, my games have lore. MatPat, please hire me. To be honest, this character kinda just stuck with me over the past year or so, which is why I reference him in other places, like this video on my second channel. Later that August, I participated in yet another Brackeys Game Jam, with the theme being Diving Deeper. So, I submitted my game about diving deeper. I also expanded on the very epic lore seen in my other games. But then, something very bad happened with the game engine I was using. The Runtime Fee. yeah, after wanting to jump out a window for several weeks, I eventually decided to sell my soul to Mr. Metaverse and switch to Unreal Engine. I've already been wanting to try it before then, so this was a great opportunity to do so. As a result, I made this game over the span of a couple months as a way to practice using the engine. I even made an entire video documenting my progress if you want to watch it. Oh boy, another Brackeys game jam! This is also my first game jam that had me using Unreal Engine instead of Unity, so this is a pretty interesting game jam to say the least. The theme this time was What's Behind the Door, and after losing like 2 hours worth of progress on the final day, here's my submission, an unhinged exit. You basically just slap your coworkers with a door. It was the best I can think of for a single week. And I almost forgot to mention, I once again expanded on the insanely epic lore seen in my other games. That's right gamers, I did it again. And finally, most recently on my game dev journey, Vaporize, which is a speedrunning game that's literally just Cyberhook but worse. This is the result of a semester in my school's game design class of slacking off with my friend playing Nero 1 all the time. Oh yeah, he also worked on this game with me. We were only able to add like 4 levels before the semester ended, and we also had to use Unity for this instead of Unreal, cause I don't think we're allowed to download a 50GB software onto the school computers. Nonetheless, I'm still pretty proud of what we ended up making, especially for a school project. And that's kinda it for my epic game dev extravaganza. We actually just finished up making Vaporized as I was writing the script, so it should be up for you to play by the time this video comes out. To be honest, it's fascinating seeing how much I've improved in game development since I started back in 2021. From a literal jumping simulator where you press space 1,000 times, I'm not joking, to a shameless clone of Cyberhook. For the future, I guess I'll just keep doing game jams and random crap on my YouTube channel until I can land a job in the game industry, or until my dreams get crushed by AI. Seriously, I adore everything about the creative process in game development, from coming up with an idea, to creating a rough prototype, to creating the art, to having your game engine of choice crash every 2 seconds. It's amazing seeing something that you've spent so much time and effort on actually start coming together into a single thing. And I'd hate for what I've devoted my life to for the past 3 years to be worth next to nothing by the time I actually have an opportunity to get a job in game development. If that really happens, I guess this can always just remain a hobby for me.